Hello, здравствуйте. Hello, greetings. I don't know if you know this about me or not, even though I've said it like 1,000 times. I have nothing to do with politics, and I want nothing to do with it. For reasons that are blatantly obvious, because things are getting kind of rancid in the world. People have been emailing me a lot of Russian propaganda. Now, every government is responsible for a lot of propaganda. However, the amount of email loaded with Russian propaganda that people send to me is kind of off the hook. Don't email me any Russian propaganda. I'm not interested in it. I'm just not at. I say, oh, there's nothing going on in Ukraine. Oh, well, I'm sure. That must be why 3.2 million Ukrainians have fled, like 2+ million to Poland, and the rest to Romania, a few to Germany, not a lot. Of course, Germany's not on the border. Yeah, maybe there's 3 million. They just decided to up and leave everything. I just got another email, and I had to block this person's email. He keeps sending me Russian propaganda. He sent me an email to this guy spewing just crazy Russian propaganda. And interestingly enough, one of this guy's earliest videos said, oh, Russia's never gonna go into Ukraine. Which, of course, I've been telling everybody that for a long time, and I had thousands of people say, oh, Ken, you're so wrong. Say, Russia's not going to roll into Ukraine. And of course they did. When they first started it, though, then everybody changed their story. It's like, well, they're just liberating they're just liberating Donetsk. And then, like a couple days after, when the full invasion hit, then everything just kind of went silent like crickets. I'm not interested in politics. Please don't email me that stuff, okay? I find it funny, and it's not funny, it actually makes me want to puke because it's so disgusting and it's so vile, is that the stuff that people keep emailing me and telling me in comments, which is just absolutely radical. By the way, I've been to Ukraine a few times. I lived in Russia for a long time, a little too long actually. I think the top 3 or 4 things that people keep saying to me, kept the list up in my mind, is they say, oh, it's the Ukrainians doing it to themselves. It's not the Russians. Like, okay. The other one is, which is very, very puke-worthy, is they say, we're liberating them. Yeah. You know, it might be interesting to know that if you're planning on liberating, and I don't mean that literally, it's disgusting, it just makes me want to stick my finger down my throat and puke, is that maybe you should like ask the people if they need liberating or they want to be liberated. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that when you're burning down their homes and you're making currently it's 3.4 million people have fled. Yeah, you're not liberating. You know, that's sort of, I mean, that's of course propaganda, but I mean it's hardcore rationalization. It's like, well, we're helping them, I'm liberating them. That's as insanely stupid as if you were to say, oh, and this is a hypothetical radical insanity. Oh yeah, my brother got cancer, and instead of him suffering all those years through cancer, I decided to end him. You know, what? Yeah, I liberated him. Yeah, he will never experience all the pains of cancer. I took care of it. I ended. You know, that of course is just insanely, it's just radically insane. I mean, it's so hyperbolic and insane, and yet that's the stuff that people say to me in comments and send me emails on. A funny one, and even Newsweek picked this up, is some guy that is from Texas, and he looks like Boss Hogg from the Dukes of Hazzard. I don't know if you ever watched the Dukes of Hazzard. I never really did. I mean, I saw a show or two when I was younger. Guy looks from Boss Hogg from Texas, and He's done all these videos. The Russians love him. And he's got Russian citizenship, and he has citizenship in Donetsk. Apparently he still has American citizenship. And he's on the video with all these Russian tanks behind him, and he says, yeah, we're going to go in there and liberate them, and we're gonna what? So it would be like if you crossed Boss Hogg with a hardcore propagandist, which is kind of a really, really strange combo. By the way, and this is not propaganda, this is fact. This is directly from Mr. Putin, the president of Russia, directly from his mouth today. He talked about the people that were protesting in various cities, which of course is not propaganda, it's truth. I remember there was one lady that came behind a live news broadcast where she was holding a sign that said no war and it said don't believe the propaganda. She faces 15 years in jail. There's all these people actually protest, which is illegal in Russia, and you know the laws of Russia are none of my concern, but Putin today talked about the quote cleansing of society. He referred to them, he actually specifically called them traitors and scum. So the anti-war, non-invasion Russians that were protesting who faced a lot of jail time, and there are hundreds of videos from thousands of sources of these people being arrested on the spot. He called them traitors and scum, and he said they were likened to a fly that flew into your mouth, which of course nobody wants a fly in their mouth that you spit out. You know, this harkens back to Stalin, when he talked about the great purges and a cleansing of society. You know, when you invade another country, and then the people that are peaceful Russians, because a lot of dumb Americans, there's still this Russophobia in America, which is really stupid, and American propaganda is responsible for that. Fear the Russians, yeah. Well, I mean, that's like people talking about the things the United States does or doesn't do. It's the government in D.C. That's not the American people. All politics are evil. Some are a whole lot more evil than others, though, of course. But I'm not interested in politics. But when you talk about cleansing society, of people that are just like holding cardboard signs out on the street, you're going to lock them away for a decade and you call them traitors and scum? You know, this, if you don't understand what that means, then you're not very bright. You're the complete opposite of bright. I mean, it's foolishness not to be able to see the clarity of something that's you're going to hold up a sign and you don't believe in invasion, or, you know, you're going to call these people traitors and scum and lock them away for a decade for holding a sign up on the street corner. I hate to say this, since I'm an American, I'll certainly say this. There's a whole lot of really, really foolish Americans that don't have any respect for the First Amendment, and my favorite, which is this one. The First Amendment rights that were given to them through the sacrifices of many, 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 countless hundreds of thousands of Americans. You know, their First Amendment rights. You know, there's an old saying, use it or lose it. And when the president of Russia talks about cleansing of society, and he did say that today, you know, that harkens back to Stalin. That's a fact. That's not my opinion. That's a hardcore fact. Here's another fact. A Ukrainian TikTok star, which I'm not on TikTok and I don't watch TikTok and I couldn't care less. Apparently she has a lot of Russian followers. So this Ukrainian TikTok star said of all her Russian followers, or most of them anyway, these are her words, she said that her Russian followers don't believe that there's anything going on in Ukraine. And I've actually been emailed this complete foolish lies, nonsense, and propaganda. You know, there's hundreds of thousands of videos from Romania, Slovakia, Poland especially, of millions and millions of refugees. You know, I guess it's just, you know, Grandma decided to, like, Grandma can barely walk, but she decided to flee, you know, 20 miles by foot and 150 miles via train to go someplace so she could sleep on the cold concrete floor of, like, a train station. Yeah. Grandma decided to leave her house, even though she could barely walk. Ukrainskaya девушка. Yeah, Grandma, who can barely walk, decided to flee someplace where she knows she doesn't have a home, and so she could use bathroom stalls in a train station and sleep on literally a concrete or marble floor in Poland. Yeah, yeah. You, I mean, are you, the people that email me this nonsense, leave comments, I mean, are you so foolish as to believe that or think that I have the lack of mental acuity to even dare to do anything but laugh at something that stupid? That's not taking sides. I mean, that's just radically foolish. It was a day when the word fool was the ultimate insult, and it really is. The ancient Pali word for that is putujana. There's an old joke when I lived in Russia. They'd actually have a piece of paper, and I'll do it right here because I have a pencil here. This is a Russian joke. I got this from Russians. They'd say about the war, and they're half right on this joke. They'd draw something round over here, and like this, and they'd say, this is Russia. Okay, I'm just going to do R-U-S, okay? And over here, they'd draw something over here, and this would be, they would say, Sasha-a, yeah? Which is Russian for USA. So we have this circle over here, and this one over here, and of course they look like a pair of butt cheeks. And right here, where, you know, the bad stuff, you know, where the dirt happens, this is it's a Russian joke, by the way, yeah? This is Europa. In other words, we're all the, you know, the war between Соединенные Штаты Америки и Россия, or бывшего Советского Союза. They say all the bad stuff happens right here, Europa. But what they're wrong about, what's actually, because much of Europe, France, Germany, to an extent anyway, Czechoslovakia, they really are the West. They're not the United States, though. The real dirty spot, and history has shown this time and time and time and time again, is Ukraine. So that Russian joke is accurate, except the brown spot there in the middle where all the bad stuff goes down. It's not Europe, it's Ukraine. And that's a fact. Here's another fact. This was recently admitted to, and I knew this was going on, and it's been going on for decades. And this is a hardcore undeniable fact. This is no conspiracy. This is hardcore fact. The CIA is on the ground right now in Ukraine, a significant number of them, and an unknown number of NSA, that are getting high-value, real-time satellite intel, and they actually too have scrambler phones for use among certain Ukrainian military. We just approved another $1 billion of hardcore technology. I should have bought into Lockheed Martin, Martin Marietta, Northrop Grumman. There's two others I can't recall off the top of my head. Those stocks, by the way, skyrocketed in the past week or so. I knew that was going to happen. I should have bought it. And we call that the MIC. It's a military-industrial complex. Anyway, we approved $1 billion plus of hardcore military hardware, including Stingers, more Javelins, 20 million small armor, on and on and on and on. You know, bunch of hardcore military tech. It's heading to Ukraine. I knew I should have bought a bunch of stocks, even though I don't play the stock market, in MIC, Military Industrial Complex, Stock Technology, Martin Marietta, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, on and on. They don't just make fighter jets and stuff, they actually make some of this exotic stuff that we're shipping to Ukraine. Whatever you think of one way or the other, I don't care. I'm not interested in politics. If you don't believe me, I'm sorry for you, but I don't. I do know what's going on, and I can see what's going on, is that our president, whatever you think about him one way or another, I don't care, called, and it's just dangerous to say stuff like that, called Mr. Putin, these are his words, okay, not mine, okay? Murderous dictator, called him a, quote, pure thug. Yeah, the United States president said that today, you know. Here's another fact that I've been saying over and over again. And by the way, I kept telling everybody, even though they said it was wrong, I said, Russia is going to rule hard on Ukraine. Not going to happen! No, you're full of it, Ken! And of course I was 100% right. I've also been saying this from the get-go. For Russia, whether you say Russia, the Kremlin, the Duma, or Putin, I don't care. The levels of hierarchy there. For the Kremlin, I'm just going to use the word Kremlin. To back down is nothing short of about 1,000% pure suicide of many officials. I mean, not literal. I mean, it's just the number of troops that have been lost, the number of money and military hardware that's been lost. It's just an unthinkable option. It's like if you put, I don't play poker or anything, so you put all your chips right in the middle there. The notion of losing all your money, I'm not a gambler, I don't gamble at all. I mean, that's what's going on. To retract back from Ukraine without fully possessing or even partially, greatly possessing Ukraine is just, it's like gambling suicide for the Kremlin. Whatever person you want to refer to in the Kremlin, the Duma, Putin, I mean, it just is. That's not politics, that's a statement of fact. Here's another thing that the West is doing, okay? The West is painting the Kremlin and or Putin, I don't care which term you want to use, into a hardcore corner. They're painting the bear into a corner, okay? That doesn't mean I'm weak, but there's so much warmongering going on and so much propaganda. By the way, the stupid nonsense that the United States did about a week or so ago and completely cutting us off from Russian oil, I know it hasn't completely occurred yet. It doesn't mean anything because Russia just gave a huge discount to India on the oil. I mean, Russia could sell the stuff that they were shipping to the United States to any one of a countless number of countries. Everybody is oil hungry, every one of them. The notion, we're going to stop buying Russian oil. Well, who cares? Russia will just sell it to any one of a number of other countries. Like, yeah, we'll take it. Oh, we'll give it to you at a discount. India just did that. They did a deal with Russia, and they get a discount on the oil. So the United States banning it means absolutely nothing other than higher gas prices here in the United States. Compared to 10 days ago when I made a video about the Ukraine. By the way, I saw a guy at Costco yesterday. You could tell, I mean, having lived in Russia and been to Ukraine, they have a look, okay? They have a look, you just tell they look different. Not bad or good, one way, you could tell. The guy was wearing a shirt, it had the Ukrainian flag, and I made him really happy. You wouldn't expect that in Kentucky. I yelled out to him, Slava Ukraina! Translate that from Ukrainian. He's like, oh, молодец! I met him in Costco and I found out he's from Simferopol. I was like, seriously? I said, I've been to Simferopol, там на автобус, на Ялту, yeah, I've been to Odessa. It's like, oh my God. He thought that was shocking, you know, some guy in Kentucky knew a little bit of Ukrainian, yelled out to him, Slava Ukraina! That was kind of funny. At least I thought so. The West is painting the Kremlin into a corner, you know, and that's not good. Compared to 10 days ago when I made a video about Ukraine situation, we're so much closer to World War III. Even Vladimir Zelensky was asked that question yesterday, and his exact words were, I might have one word off, but he said, I think we're in World War III right now, or at least the beginning of same. Those were his words, not mine. So you got Putin saying that his society needs a cleansing, and he was referring to anybody, you know, that was anti-war and anti-invasion, a traitor and scum. His words, not mine. I mean, you talk about cleansing society, and you're throwing people in jail for holding up an anti-war sign? You know? I don't care whose side you're on, and I don't care about politics. We call that radical insanity. I mean, it is radically insane. If you're afraid of somebody holding up on the street corner a sign, you know, you're afraid of someone on the street, you know, like some 120-pound dude with a beard, because there's peaceniks all over the world, right? Yeah, whatever you think about a peacenik, like, yo, peace, dude. Hey, you got a peacenik on the side of the road holding up a sign saying no war or, you know, no invasion, and they're guilty of destroying their whole family's reputation and throwing them in jail. You know, that's not right. But it's not my opinion to judge their life. But it is. Because it's against natural order. It's completely against natural order. I mean, it just totally is. And that's nothing against the Russians or Russia. Yeah? It's not, but it's wrong. It's just flat out wrong. And all the comments and the silly emails that I get, you know, rationalizing You know, we're liberating, we're yeah, you're liberating people that didn't ask to be liberated. Sure you are. Oh, well, that's corrupt. It was always Russia to begin. Oh, okay. There is no way you could rationalizing sending poor old grandma, Ukrainskaya babushka, yeah, Ukrainskaya babushka, you know, fleeing to Poland and dropping dead in the process. There are plenty of videos of that, unfortunately. They just made it there, and you know, they just like plopped dead, literally. There's people draped a cape over them. You know, they're just laying in the street waiting for the body picker to come over. Or all the children that have been. You think that's like, oh, although you. People sending me comments saying, "Oh yeah, it was Ukraine themselves did that to their own children." Oh, sure they did. Yeah, sure they did. Please tell me something that is halfway believable, not something so radically stupid as that. You're not going to rationalize your way out of, and I don't care what people believe. It's none of my business. I just don't care. Don't blow smoke up. Blow smoke up my drawers. Is a Southern saying. When you say you're blowing smoke up someone's backside, it means you're feeding them propaganda lies and just balderdash, rubble, twaddle, poppycock nonsense. Don't try to throw that glitter in my face. Yeah, we're liberating people. Let me ask you a question. This is a serious question, and the answer is obvious if you have a half a brain, of course. And I keep hearing all these silly comments and emails from people saying this nonsense. If you think you're liberating a people, if they didn't need to be liberated, and they have a job and a home and a dog and a cat and a little son and a little daughter, yeah, they didn't ask to be liberated, they don't need to be liberated, they don't want to be liberated. Yet you tell everybody, and you're rationalizing to yourself that you're liberating people? What sort of nonsense will you fall for? You know, I got a bridge in Brooklyn I'll sell. If you believe something that insanely stupid and foolish, I got a bridge in Brooklyn I'll sell you. Give me a phone call. I'll sell you a bridge. I mean, sort of self-delusions that people actually engage in is unbelievable. I get sent all these emails, and this happened in World War II, when tons of Americans, people don't know this, in World War II, before the war, even when the war was kicking off in World War II, there are tons of Americans that were big-time supporters of Schicklgruber. Yeah, people send me these videos of these Americans that are just lying like dogs. Just foolish lies and propaganda. Don't send me lies and propaganda, I'm not interested in it. So I believe, it's like, okay, I'm glad you believe that, I'm not interested in it. How about facts, logic, and wisdom here? So you're telling me that poor old grandma that could barely walk, she basically put her life at risk, and has only one suitcase to her name, and she fled her nice, cozy apartment flat. She fled to some place where she could sleep on the train station floor that's dirty and cold, and use a train station. Yeah, sure. I guess that's exactly how every grandmother in Ukraine and wife and child, that's exactly how they wanted to be liberated. Millions of them, which is undeniable. It's undeniable that there's millions of them. 100% undeniable. Yeah, these people wanted to be liberated out of their apartments and sleep on train station floors and use collective bathrooms that are dirty and gross and, yeah, like leave 95% of everything they own behind. Fit everything inside of a little suitcase, a little purse or something. Yeah, that's how everybody wanted to be liberated. It's not funny at all, it's grotesque. Russia right now is undeniably between a rock and a hard spot, and we're painting the Kremlin or Putin, I don't care what you say, into a corner. They're painting the bear into the corner. And it's not a weak statement to say that that's not a good idea for many, many valid reasons. World War III is really, 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 really bad. You don't want it. I'm being strong. You are, but you're also being stupid. You can be strong and stupid at the same time. Strong and foolish at the same time. You don't want to paint the bear into a corner. There's so much warmongering going on in the United States, which is just, it's a propaganda of its own kind. This, it is Russophobia. And everybody keeps using NATO as an excuse. And it's just so incredibly stupid. You know, NATO has not been an occupier of a country for decades and decades and decades. You know, people really don't know history at all. Yeah, the бывшего Советского Союза, Союз Советских Социалистических Республик, or what you call the Soviet Union, they kept and held, you know, various countries for a long time. Czechoslovakia, yeah, Hungary, Romania, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, on and on and on and on and on and on. Many, 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 many different countries. The world is not actually afraid of NATO. NATO was created, and this is an undeniable fact, it's not a conspiracy. NATO was created as let's not let all these countries be invaded and occupied and underneath the thumb of the Kremlin. That's the reason why NATO was created. NATO, were it not for the Sovietsky Soyuz occupying and crushing the will of many, 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 many countless countries for decades and decades and decades, NATO would not have been born. People are asking themselves the wrong questions. They're extremely unintelligent, and they're feeding off propaganda on the internet. Lies and propaganda upon more lies and propaganda. And this is one of the dismal outcomes of the news media becoming so incredibly illegitimate. They're so full of lies and nonsense. When even halfway accurate news media completely evaporates like a fart in the wind, then people that are not very bright will let their minds be open to radical foolishness, and they believe it. There's all sorts of foolishness that people believe, and it's getting worse. Compared to like 10 years ago, you know, even the news media has always been lying and filthy. I mean, they were really, even the dumbest person doesn't trust the news media. Well, not the dumbest, but now they'll just believe anything. Nature abhors a vacuum, and when you remove anything that's even halfway accurate as far as the news, which is now just a big lying propaganda, people believe anything. That's unfortunate. This is why something that's worse than a closed mind, and this is an undeniable fact, worse than a closed mind is a totally open mind. Totally open mind is like taking a vacation and leaving your front door open for everybody to, you know, rob it blind and party in it and trash it. An open mind, totally open mind, is way worse than a closed mind. People say, closed mind, you got a closed mind. There is nothing worse than a totally open mind. You're supposed to have a gatekeeper at the door that lets in facts, logic, and wisdom and keeps out propaganda, lies, and nonsense. People say, you need to have an open mind. The worst lies, nonsense, propaganda, and foolishness you'll see is from somebody that has a totally open mind. It's just, you know, it's like a spaghetti strainer trying to hold water. It just lets in everything. Anyway, please don't email me propaganda, especially Russian propaganda. I'm not interested in Russian propaganda. Don't email me to me. I don't care about politics. You know, seeing little children get hurt in what's going on. There's not a chance in hell that you're going to rationalize little injured kids. Yeah, you're just not going to do it. You could try to. Well, we're liberating them. Oh, yeah, sure you are. Yeah. Tell me another one if you think I'm a fool, which I'm not a fool. Oi. Боже мой. Боже мой, блядь.